Hi, I'm Melissa Bill, and welcome to the Business Roundup, where we catch up with the movers and shakers in the business world. Today, joining me is, oh my goodness, now I just have I'm going to have to, oh my gosh, let's start this again. Hi, I'm Melissa Bill, and welcome to the Business Roundup, where we catch up with the movers and shakers in the business world. Today, joining me is Aleksandra Lemańska from CQ Technology, leadership mentor and speaker, founder of LemanSkills. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Melissa. Thank you for having me.
So I like to kind of start off. Your journey as an entrepreneur wasn't like your average journey. You've had lots of twists and turns there. So I like to start off with having the guests talk a little bit about their background and their journey into, what they like their profession now or the industry that they're in.
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah, so my journey is quite unique. Of course, every single person, I'm sure that is saying that because we all are unique as people. But my journey actually started in music. So I wasn't an entrepreneur or leadership person from the very beginning. I was a violinist. So this is the very beginning of my journey. And since I was 8, I was playing violin. I was getting prepared to being a professional violinist. And actually, my career has already started because people started to play in different orchestras, different projects all around Europe because I'm currently in Poland and I'm from Poland, so this is something that we are doing as young adults starting their journey. And I already also started the University of Music, so it was actually quite advanced. And my career, my life, kind of was all set, but something happened over the way. I was a straight A student all my life. Regular school, high school, middle school, high school, musical school as well. And for me, it wasn't even possible in my mind to have a different score, different outcome of everything I did. This is something that I got from my home, obviously, as we all have. And all of a sudden, my second year of my bachelor degree, of college, as you would have in US, I started to fail. And I started to fail my exams. I was struggling very much, and I loved playing the violin and in the orchestra. It's the European or maybe Polish schooling system when it comes to art is like you need to be a great solo player to be in orchestra. So I was super stressed. I didn't have all those tools that I have today to stress management, to manage my emotions, everything. So I started to fail exam after exam. And actually, a dean of the school asked me to join her for a meeting, and she started to ask, Alex, what is happening? Because you were a straight A student, and right now something weird is happening. Maybe you should change your career. And I was like, hell no, I'm not a quitter. So it was the first moment when I was so mad at her, at myself as well. But something started to change in my brain, and my whole life was around that. So it was super hard to make that kind of decision. And I was in my 20s, early 20s back then. But I made this decision to quit. It was a decision that was super hard for me because I was like a multi-passionate person and straight A student. I could have pivoted myself, and I started actually in different cities. So I moved myself, I moved my body, my brain, and I started University of Technology, actually. So I'm an engineer from my first degree after all those changes in my brain, in my life. And then I fell in love in HR as well. So I combined my analytical brain that was shaped by music because I needed to work around music for my whole forming years of life. So I combined my engineering skills, analytical brain, with my psychological skills because I'm a master in business and psychology, and I started working as an HR person, but always with technology, always with IT, always with engineers. I started to recruit others, then being roles of HRBP, then started to go into learning space because this is what I love the most. And out of my different career pieces, from corporate to small organizations to middle organization, corporate again, I started to see the patterns, and I started to see that all of those organizations didn't give me what I needed which was freedom. A freedom of deciding about my time, about my free vacation days, about my time during the day, and about what I want to deliver to the world. And because I worked mostly with tech leaders, with technology leaders, IT leaders. I supported different teams and organizations. I thought maybe this is a good time to actually go into the entrepreneurship. And I had this again struggle because this is a hard decision. Hey, you have 9 to 5, quite safe, quite well known, and then this is something is missing. And I've decided, okay, let's do it. And of course, it was a bridge period for me. So I was one leg in my old place and the second leg in my different place. So I was in between doing a side hustle that wasn't a side hustle anymore because it was a quite successful business from the beginning. And I started to do more projects and have more clients. Here we go, almost 6 years after this change. And I'm exhausted, but I would never change a thing. So this is me.
That's crazy. So sometimes, I mean, you point out something. Sometimes that uncomfortableness or the fear of the unknown holds us back from things the change that we really need to make. And it but also being stagnant, you can't stay there. So it forces you to move forward.
True. And, we all know that change and grow is not happening in comfortable. We need to go into the uncomfortable. And sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's alone, but we don't need to be alone. And that's why I'm doing all these things, support leaders, female leaders as well in technology and founders in startup worlds. I also co-found the startup community Poznan here where I live. So we support people in thriving, in finding resources. Sometimes they can't afford a lot of things, especially the very beginning. So this is part of the mission that I also do, and the value that we can bring together and create together is something that is not possible sometimes for you to do on your own. And you don't need to, because, all of the people all around the world are here and you can use them, use quote unquote, of course, in a good way. Nothing is impossible if you put your mind and effort to it. And actually, sometimes you are just one decision away from what you want to do and who you want to be.
No, that's very true. And as a woman, but just a founder in general, an entrepreneur, can you discuss building your visibility as a person? What are some of the steps that you kind of would say to somebody who's looking to do that?
Of course, building visibility is a skill. So we treat it sometimes very easily. Sometimes it's a huge struggle. And something that one of my mentors said to me years ago when I was at the very, very beginning of my even thinking about entrepreneurship, when I was a young leader, he told me, you can be the smartest person in the world. You can have beautiful knowledge. You can have amazing skills. You can create great value for others. But if nobody knows you, how you can help them, it's impossible because you are invisible to them. And with algorithms and everything that is happening all over the internet, it is super hard to be noticed if you are not putting an effort to it. So this is something that stuck with me and is all the time with me. I can be the smartest person in the room, but if nobody knows me, I'm doing the disservice actually, because they cannot use me and use my skills and use my knowledge. And all of the stories that I have from different people, leaders, businesses, teams that I worked with over the years. So what I've started to do, so for all of all of you who are listening and you're thinking where to start, because the start is always the hardest part, I advise you to find one platform. It can be LinkedIn, it can be podcast, it can be YouTube, it can be taking part in conferences as a speaker, online, offline, all around the world. There are so many different opportunities. You can use your own. What I started to do is to go and be a speaker, because I was a stage person from my violinist years. I grew up on stage, so I love delivering keynote speeches. I love to talk to others. I'm also a trainer and facilitator. I deliver a lot of workshops. For me, this part when I can be visible was a stage. So I started to apply, and you can find those events all over the world. Different niches, different branches, different industries, different numbers of people, and meetups, breakfasts, you name it. And I've started to apply for the callful papers. Or I started to send emails to the organizers. Hey, I have the subjects. I'm an expert in it. I feel that I can deliver value. Is there any place for me, any spots left, any place you have for me to deliver a speech, a piece of also a workshop, a fireside chat, or anything like that? And of course, you need to create a like Excel spreadsheet or something like that with where you send it, and you will send dozens of those emails, of those requests. But then people start to accept me, and I've started to do those things. No money whatsoever at the very beginning. I needed to pay. I even, I'm in Poland, but I was a stage in the US, for example. So I needed to pay for everything for myself, for all of the travel to be there on stage. But then you're visible. People see you. You have photos. You can post on LinkedIn or Facebook or any other platform that you're using. And it's not bragging, it's showing the world that you are an expert in your area. And this is something that I've started doing, and I continue doing it. And I've started like 8 or 9 years ago. And right now, of course, I still apply, but people started to contact me as well. And it can be you, it can be podcast, it can be posting on TikTok, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on X, on anything that is there visible. Choose one platform and start there. Post in the blog. If you like writing, go for it. Do it. This is something that you can do. But the more you show your expertise, the more reliable you are as a person outside. And if you want to do it inside of the organization, you can do it as well. It depends on where you are. If you are a leader in the organization, you're thinking about entrepreneurship, maybe you can start building your visibility in the organization. Go participate in projects, be innovative, share ideas, problem solve. You can be there for others, and it is going to be noticeable. So I would advise to start from one thing and then expand, and it is going to be great for you, I'm sure.
And that's a good point too, because not just leaders, but I know a lot of people, you're in a company, you've been there for years, you're still at that middle ground, you're not really making any advancements. What for people like that, would you have any advice for like you're saying, would that be something like show your skills? Like what could be some ways that they can do that?
Of course. And you can do the same thing as I mentioned like 30 seconds ago. So you can be proactive in looking for places where you can use your expertise and your genius zone. Okay? Because we all have our genius zones. So regardless of you are a great accountant or a project manager or a software developer or a person who supports others from the office perspective, it doesn't really matter. If you love doing something, show it to others. So see what you can do better. See what can be better on the process perspective. Propose something that we can do better as an organization. Go to your boss, go to your bosses. Why not? Sky's the limit. Sometimes in the organizations, there are some like boxes for ideas, physical ones or digital ones, somewhere in the cloud. So you can use it. The bigger the organization is, especially in corporate world, the more internal initiatives they are. You can be in committees. You can take part in different projects, like aside of what you are doing on a daily basis. So even if it's an extra time contribution or you need to grow some skills to do it, it is always possible for you, but it's not going to come to you. So if you're waiting for opportunities for you to come and you can say yes to, you can wait for a long, long time. So looking for those opportunities and saying to the universe, hey, I'm open, it's going to, law of attraction is a real thing that the universe is going to reply to you, but you need to start. So if you're an individual contributor, if you're a subject matter expert, you're great in what you do, you can always do it. And the matter is where you want to invest your time, your effort, your energy, because you are not going to do everything because it's impossible. So again, choose one thing, one initiative, one extra project, one problem that you see in the organization that you want to solve. You see that is something that even you feel that it's you're struggling because of the problem and it bothers you personally, the better, because you are close to the essence and you can actually create a solution for that. And I promise you, and believe me or not, and organizations love that kind of initiative, behavior, initiative when it comes to something that's they don't even see because, board members, C-level, exec team, they're not close to those problems because they're not working with them on a daily basis. You are. So you are an expert in this and you can use it.
And also, like we were talking a little bit before, like women in technology, before it was pretty like, it was not that many women that were going into it or even taking, classes in college or universities. Do you feel that it's still difficult for women to break into certain parts of technology, or you think it's changing?
I see that it's changing, but I see that it's not changing as fast as we want. And I see also, because I work with different countries, different cultures, that it really depends on the country and the culture, because we have a lot of different beliefs about who we should be as women, for example, as people in a certain culture. What is my role as a person, as a woman? And this is something that I see that's transforming itself. And I see, as you mentioned, more girls are learning technical skills, more young ladies are joining robotics clubs, becoming programmers. There are many initiatives globally, like girls or women who codes, and we are nourishing the possibility for younger girls, young adults, women, that they can do whatever they want. And this is a mindset shift that I think that it needs a generation to go and actually be rooted in our brains. It's not about, for me, it's not about equality. It's about accountability and awareness that it is actually my decision what I want to do. And of course, again, different parts of the world, different narratives and different rules when it comes to the social codes and everything. But I always say that you can be anybody, you can be anything you want, and everything is a choice. If you are choosing that you want to be a person who is a IT project manager, or you want to lead a tech organization, you want to be a CTO, you want to be a female founder when it comes to the startup world, you can do anything. The question is, what is your genius zone? What you want to achieve here, what kind of problem you want to solve here, and what kind of resources, different angles of resources you need to achieve that. So this is the empowerment that we need more as women. We need to give the support more to each other, and this is happening. I also do it on a daily basis, and I see the change. I see the shifts. We need more mindset shifts in our brains, but also the systemic changes, all of the things on a system level, changes in politics, changes in processes, in the organizations. Sometimes law changes, different countries, different rules again. There's still a lot of discrimination all around the world regarding the subject that we are talking about. But yeah, I'm optimistic. I see those changes. I see how women support each other more, how they create communities around that, how different people from different angles, different genders are working together. So I see that they stop care as much about gender, but we start care more about competencies, about skills. So yeah, this is, it's going to be good, but you need to put an effort to it because nothing is going to change on its own.
Help kind of further that to continue. And now, what's some of the extensive research you've done around things like burnout and stuff? Like a lot of founders and entrepreneurs, I mean, burnout, I think just in the job in general, but I'm sure for leaders, it could be big.
I see a new pandemic, actually, and tend to forget about COVID. We are recording this episode in September 2025. So regardless of when you are going to listen to it, we tend to forget that COVID even existed because we are so far and we just want to forget and to just move on with our lives. But I see a new pandemic, and it is a pandemic of burnout. Especially, I see it when I work with entrepreneurs, with leaders from different organizations, especially in technology, because I work with tech most of the time. I see a lot of different evidence that I started to gather because I do the research to my book that I'm working on. So the burnout is a huge part of inefficiencies and misery of people. And I do my own research. I talk with organizations that I work with, the different branches, different industries, different sizes, different countries. So this is something that I do at the moment, I see the patterns, but I also use the research that's already there. And there's, if you are interested in more data, there's a huge and very good research from 2022, but it's still quite relevant. And the name is The State of Burnout in Tech. So this is the research that is available. You can look for it. And there's those numbers that are actually very alarming. And every single time I see them, I'm surprised. But then I'm not so surprised because I see how organizations all around the world are working. So one number that is with me is like 62% of people feel physically and emotionally drained. 62% of people who work are feeling that way. So they don't have intellectual and emotional capacity to be efficient, to be happy, to be satisfied with what they're doing. And of course, we both know that it influences who we are as people, who we are as leaders, who we are as parents, as spouses, as children to our parents. And it influences the whole life that we have. So I start to dig into that, and I see few different areas. Why is it happening? And I do this research, and I see the patterns around 5 categories that we can go. So if you are listening to us and you want to do a checklist with yourself, this is a time for an exercise, actually. So why we are so burned out, the first thing, and it's the most visible thing, is that we are so exhausted by the amount of work we have, by the things that we do around the work. We have task list that is endless. And sometimes we have this job work environment that is not supportive, that is not helpful, that is not helping us with being with ourselves good when it comes to workload. So workload is too big. We have endless task lists and we cannot figure out what to do with them. So this is the first category. The second category are high expectations. The endless expectations of us being perfect, of us being on time, on us being as efficient as possible, and those as being up to date all the time. So we need to be up to date with all of technology, everything that is happening on the AI front, everything that we need to know, we need to be great in it. And sometimes those expectations are external. So, for example, my boss can give me these expectations, or clients can give me these expectations, but a lot of those expectations are internal. So I push myself further and further. I blame myself for not being enough. I blame myself for not being perfect, for not being always on time, for not being perfect in every single thing that I'm.
So can you tell us some of the things to be on the lookout for people who are in the audience, like thinking about this type of, burnout, what that means? And
yes, of course. So when I think about this research that I'm doing right now, I find patterns, and they are connected with the sources of burnout. So there are different root causes of the burnout, and I actually found out there are 5 different angles, 5 different buckets of the burnout root causes. And the first, and it's the most repetitive one, is workload. Too high workloads, the endless task lists that it is impossible for a lot of people to do in a day, in a week, in a month. So they are exhausted because there's too much things on the list, privately and professionally. So that work is so immense that it's impossible for you to just cover it and from A to Z. This is the first one. The second one are high expectations. There are expectations about being perfect in what you're doing, being always on time, always looking good, being up to date all the time. So you need to be up to date with all of the changes in the world, technology, AI transformation, everything that is happening. You need to be up to date. So high expectations can be external. So it can be from other people, from my boss, from my clients. But what I see a lot is that we have so high expectations internally because we have beliefs about who we should be, that we should be perfect, we should be strong. I cannot ask for help because it makes me weak. And all of the beliefs, that fixed mindset we have, the limiting beliefs, are just doing crazy stuff to our brain, and we are blaming ourselves, not being perfect, not being good enough, not being fast enough. So a lot of those things in this bucket. The third part is physical health. So we are not taking care of our bodies enough. Sleep, water, nutrition, everything that is happening all around what we do to ourselves. We sit all the time. We change place from in front of computer to in front of TV, actually. So we are killing our bodies, literally. So this is it. The fourth bucket is mental health. So everything that we are doing for being sane, become healthy people from the brain perspective. And actually, then another pandemic is connected with that one, because autoimmune disease is going crazy. Number of diagnosis in autoimmune diseases and neurodivergency as well is dramatic. So it's going to the roof, and it is connected with the burnout as well. And the fifth and the last one, but not least, of course, is lack of support and the low quality of relationships that we have. Again, professionally and personally, we have another one, epidemic of loneliness, and people are so alone. And it started in COVID very much, but before as well. The changes in generations in the marketplace as well, because they're more and more alone. They're more lonely. They're sitting not with other kids or young adults, or we as adults with other people, but we sit in our phones, in our computers, in myself with Netflix. So all of those root causes are making a lot of people miserable, and sometimes workplace making it even worse. So if you're listening, and when you are listening to what I was saying, you can check with yourself. How is your workload? How does it look like for you right now? Of course, it's not going to happen that every single day you have a clear zero inbox, clear task list. Let's be honest here. But if you feel like exhausted from the pressure when it comes to the number of things that you need to do, if you're thinking when you're going to bed and you are thinking what is there left on your task list, it is a warning sign. How expectations look like if you are kind to yourself because you are doing a lot of things. How about your mental and physical health? How about your relationships? Do you have people you can trust? If you're meeting those people, it can be a community around something that you just love doing. It can be one friend, it can be your spouse, it can be a colleague at work, it can be your boss, it can be one client. Sometimes it happens like that. But we need to take care of ourselves better, because we have only one body, and in this lifetime, one life, depends on what you're believing in. And we spend so much time at work that I say, and I repeat it over and over again, that it's a waste to waste this time, because we spend so much time there, and we can actually create a lot of value. But if we are in a burnout zone, it is not going to happen.
That is true. You need to disconnect. And I think that's the problem that a lot of people, we are tied to our phones, tied to social media, tied to, so it's like take that time just to not like think about anything.
True. It might be super helpful actually to have a detox, digital detox, and there's a lot of studies already. If you're interested in that, you can find it and see what you can actually do to start right, reconnecting yourself with yourself actually, because this is all about it, about listening. We are not taught to listen to our brains, to listen to our bodies, to be okay with ourselves. We, of course, and again, it depends on the culture, but many cultures are connected with the belief that we need to suffer. We need to work very hard. If I'm not exhausted, it doesn't count. So I need to work even harder, because only when the exhaustion level is super high, I'm doing the job. I do it right. And we both know that it's not true. It's a sign that you are not taking care of yourself.
That is true. Very true. I know you do a lot of things. So if people want information on the company, you also have your own podcast. Like, what would be the best way to find you and more information on everything that you do?
Of course. If you want to listen more, I'm more than happy to invite you to the podcast. The name is Lemon Tech Leadership Podcast. It's like the tech is in the name, but it's not only for tech people. So I have a lot of different guests there as well, solo episodes with pieces of knowledge that you can use very universally. And there are also pieces of the burnout studies I'm doing, the communication intelligence that I am an expert in. So this is my level of genius zone. So please go and check it out. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any places where the podcasts are held. And on my website, there's more information about what I do, LemanSkills.com, LEMAN.com. So this is there. LinkedIn is a very good place. I'm very active there. So if you want to find me on LinkedIn, I'm always happy to have a conversation, to get connected. You can always send me an invite, say, hey, I was listening to you in Melissa's show and I want to connect. Always happy to start a conversation.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you. And I would definitely love to have you back too, because I think there's so much more we could cover. So hopefully you'll join me again and we can talk about some other things that are happening, and just, kind of how to guide people through, like, it's as AI and everything starts kind of moving even more, I think we're gonna have more burnout from technology.
True. Thank you, Milsa. I'm super grateful that we had a chance to meet, to have this conversation. We can talk about all of those things, whole day about each piece of it. So I'm happy to be back and to dig deeper into what your audience find interesting and useful. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining the Business Roundup, where we always try to bring you interviews with some of the leading people in business, whether it be technology, finance, or energy. I hope you tune in. I hope you subscribe and listen, and we'll give you updates for new interviews that are coming up. Until next time, I'm Melissa Bell.